Gilg Jew, Gilg J as Gilg Nerach.
Sé Claare na Gael viscolar scalia mach cartnish, the smile am sure is halticha. My name is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Have you ever had tell of old Bobby Bob?
And in this bilingual programme, Claare na Gael, you'll hear the English language as Nishu Clash na Gilg, and you'll hear the Manx Gaelic, Chinyanamera, the mother tongue of Ellan Vanning, the Isle of Man. As Bannacht and Jurish, we've looked at what A.W. Moore wrote about nicknames in 1890, and then in 1937 we find that J Kneen has more or less reprinted Moore's work, but with some additional material of his own. We're looking at that additional material. Moilia Soilia, congratulations to Sarah and Mira for their performance of Matthew Warren's song Bed and Perber, which won the ARAN Son Manning on Friday evening and will be going on to the International Song Contest of the Pan-Celtic Festival in Carlow in early April, as Moilia Soilia de Fiona McCardle son Reiche ARAN Son Manning Rish. Ta Mina Harker now Asia Houston a Dania ronsach as the Thai Nebu / Count Dracula. Ta Gulgus and Onyig, as die fagen kei chits jack on, as die smunion de wel kiel as brionji. Die follige heen for lizigen aljabi. Our opening song is about Cornwall, but as you'll hear from the voice, Jim WEARNE is Cornish American. Tashu geisjach rish Radio Vanning, stashu na nation, biskuller skelia mach, by Dulish, Ellan Vanning.
Cornwall, feast your ears and eyes. You've just departed England, aren't you surprised? You've crossed the mighty Tamar, and now you're over here. But this isn't England, let's get that very clear. See the fields and hedgerows, hear the way we talk. Those are cliffs of granite, not of bloody chalk. Mine stacks on the hilltops, fishing boats at sea. If you think that you're in England, then listen here to me. This isn't England, you stupid twit. This land is Cornwall, we're proud of it. It's part of Britain and the UK. But this isn't England, let's get that straight, okay? Have a proper pasty and some clotted cream. Have a jar of scrumpy, you'll see what we mean. It's like a different country, you'll say if you're not dull. Well, that's what we're trying to drive into your skull. Here comes a sunburnt Yankee from the USA. He's touring Merry England in his Chevrolet. He's crossed o'er the Tamar, but he doesn't know. He thinks he's still in England 'cause the guidebook tells him so. This isn't England, no, not a bit. This land is Cornwall, we're proud of it. It's part of Britain and the UK. But this isn't England, no matter what they say. Had a mighty country, we had a mighty king, we had a lovely language, we had everything. We had farms and fishing, and the tin mines too. Now all we've got is sod, oh no thanks to you, no who. Here come the English emmets, they're all swarming down to jam us up with traffic in every lane in town.
I say, how quaint are the people, how sweet is the scene.
Well, we're all bloody starving, go tell that to your queen. This isn't England, you silly git. This land is Cornwall, we're proud of it. It's part of Britain and the UK. But this isn't England, that's up the other way. Some say that we're silly to love our ancient land, but we're in deadly earnest, please try to understand. You've lined your English pockets with our Cornish gold. Now we're reclaiming the land you bought and sold. So while we're up here singing the chorus of this song, please don't sit there silent, won't you sing along? We will not keep quiet, we won't go away. We are the Cornish, we're in the fight to stay. This isn't England, you must admit. This land is Cornwall, we're proud of it. It's part of Britain and the UK. But this isn't England, there's nothing more to say.
Jim WEARNE, who was made a bard of the Gorseth Curnow in Falmouth in 2002 with the bardic name Canor Gwanethtir, singer of the prairie. He was born in Missouri, although he was raised in the Chicago area. J Kneen adds some more names here for us now. John Cayley, English, and John Madrell Yernach, Irishman, had probably spent some time in the respective countries, he says. John Watterson, Fore George, and Edmund Crowe Whammon are difficult to interpret, he says. Now the first of these, Fore George, is given as all one word without a capital letter, Foregeorge. The second one, Whammon, has a capital W, Amman. But, he continues, William Stephen Squandus may have been an early squandermaniac. William Sale, Bollen, may have been fond of fishing for bollens, a kind of carp, he says. Well, the bollen or the wrasse, the rockfish, is sought after for the bone from its upper palate, the crosh bollen, which protects wearers from the powers of themselves, the Munjavega. John Crebin, cousin, must have been noted for the number and diversity of his kinfolk. John Cubban, Blethin, which JJ interprets as being from Blaine, the word for year. Why? Asks JJ. Smunny me der hou me mechadle, as furchten Jonathan de hit back. Van me vier im neeg mechonegge, as van me gin jaar de jinno weg, wat trimmet na laai mechaden, as me lauwen, as me inchen, na dod weg gul legge vluid kajen. As me saw, ren me kadel den jou eisjach as smunny me. Esh. Ga wij toig der chitdau, der een trom, as tash, as voer. Ren mi coronedach liabi vai meedin, as hoer mi maag, la schiende sorm, der de chuljurid dorige me giertemoem. Van meer nen Gael lampe gas on Jonathan, ach courage de hingel. Ach gedenke ach mod drillien fi weg jerk to de gee. As ve jean de rauwe nie shen jitte ve na schie, as geer as jaagse chamber. Esh, henke dau de rauw mi groene nunja grosh me denk me de lai. Weiden gaas na maag aas de jenu schigge me gewoon shenach, ve jean de rauw gorle kadli tromen jacht na lai, mor giauligen me halten, as eer me haagje. Now this is a song in Irish by the group Cachra, made up of Mairead Trina O'Donnell and brother Micheál O'Donnell with Donal Lunny. Irish entry for the Pan-Celtic Festival International Song Competition in 1975, though it didn't win. Faoilean, Seagull by the quartet Cachra. Hanni mi Fiollaigean gléisiige as ren mi surle, shen mar ve. Ren mi dúna mahúlin. Ach dod mi fós fagen trúd na verruchen hem. Sinde sa ché na klinkend an ashes en Claare as kreeg a goeie fod met shielden. Henke ché de vein as na stí, as dod mi fagen nish en acht wie tjitstjach on, no de dod mi fagen I gurrisjach, na brie ben en ustje bis klei, dertes sjach on, geneig en unjach, ach echt na kielen dorrish. Henke de vein as na stí, derre ve jean de denki kujach, on sors de fille bodjelach se chamber, as through de wollach jay dod mi fagen solis a gas, sai shane gurrish soel jerk. Ren ridden go toich der cadam a gear trúd me inchen cart, maar van pille bodjelach nish cadam a gear se chamber, as trúd shaws ulju, henk goon a scripteren, pillar a bodjel se lay as de heil se nee. Rawi the jarrowly jailus spirit oil jen lid shen, va chit dowers, mish machadla. J Kneen rejoins more verbatim, but adds information that Moore in 1890 felt it too indelicate to mention, after patronymics like John Neil Robin, which refer to their father's forenames, as matronymics like John Clark Bahy and John Philip Nelly. Bahy is a version of the name as Pay. To matronymics, the likes of Tom Cubban, Vary, Mary, J Kneen adds Skillicorn, Jenny Do, Black Jenny. And whereas A.W. Moore commented only that these are probably their mother's names, J Kneen says more explicitly that these are mother's names and indicate illegitimacy. Again, where A.W. Moore says Gilbert Tier, Tom Nan, had probably both his father's and mother's name, J spells it out, that it indicated that Gilbert's father, Tom Tier, was born out of wedlock. Hennessey's. Frank Hennessey and Dave Burns were from Cardiff's Irish community, and with Paul Powell they embraced Welsh history and culture as Hennessey's, and Frank has written songs that have become modern Welsh classics. There they played Pwt Arabis. Manx Radio. Stasiwn yn asiwn ta radio fanning na si Claare na Gael bysgol sgelia mach ag treiton, si Robert Gytyn Carswell, mish Robert a Carslach.
Did the other hear tell of old Bobby Bob?
Rysjacht en lucht en Claare siogol sgeliene en chyrchiert, te caid golgus in a dega radio vanning as raya kraman agert, as on shen master Claare Nelia radio vanning, te Claare na Gael regedden. As the podcast gol a genius, vis regedden nasty through the nedega radio vanning, the trud and reich the podcast joe. Apple Podcasts, Amazon Audible, Spotify, Google Podcasts, TuneIn, na Alexa. A.W. Moore has referred to simple patronymics with a person's first name followed by his father's forename. Such titles as Billy Iliam, Iliam Joe, Nancy Joe, Dickie Dan are not uncommon, he says. And J Kneen adds, Joe Billy became, after 1887, Jubilee. Well, 1887 was, of course, the golden jubilee of the accession of Queen Victoria. That was the occasion that brought the Jubilee clock presented by George William Dumble. Well, did it also bring the Jubilee oak at Braddon Bridge, or was that planted in 1897 for Queen Victoria's Diamond Jubilee? Anyway, J Kneen tells us that after the 1887 celebrations, that person known as Joe Billy became instead Jubilee. Now we move on to references to trades or occupations, and to A.W. Moore's Thomas the Brickman, that is, brickmaker. J.J. adds Sam Green, brickmaker, and observes that they made bricks and not breeches. Achtan pillar Jinsus Janely Jailus Chamas Salaes Sunni, son van Isles a tool jerk, a leshen I shen va kleine no eg mahan. Dera gouds van mi Gian ren an Isles scare, as wij Gian de high shane orm through de geg or is daar hoel jerk, Jane lid dinch Lucy down machionok, so raweel tes eigne shalidach ek tre nenen, ren seilchen a grenia, valjei soel, boele, unjegen, kiel wurre. De daltajum, ren a skoch brishes jach orm, de rawi morsaw, de raw Jonathan nagen nam rein atchimach shen ges gus riechid through de gei, va kadam a giet foon rei hollis, as san ashlish em, te gian de ren mi gol niel, son hengt de goljerid de wijn a gorges doe. Van eebs cherry gint ek shiltness, as we enjacht an de huisje gemaakt ou edin glas wijn, kromoshies herren massa gei. Zijn dou we kerelach, me geon ashlish en Jane lid shaw, son jinnach het korpeeg enjach as kiel der ou rauwer jou. Now this is a mocking song in Scottish Gaelic about a man who flitted about like a butterfly. Well, Fiollaigean is the Manx word for a butterfly. This is Scottish Gaelic Fioilean, sung by MURDO MACLEOD and John Murray, with an audience joining in as well.
Go backes to fucking the north to show a ton of Lujack and sail or a moss who sail and horse of Fiollaigean sail or a moss of Arrey on a puri.
The eating in the man a piant and source man a crying out the hen racking a skip over home and jack a sail like Fiollaigean sail or was a zeal, was a Fiollaigean zeal, was a very good or not boring. Spoke of like the Valkers and the Narn, light to Neho, Valence of Valver and right vessel and seal, war a was a zeal, was a Fiollaigean zeal, war a was a Lorna Puru. The chicken the cool and Suez Maul and Fiollaigean howling at his shocky as Scoofetti as Kian and Hulak and Sail. Water was a zeal, was a Fiollaigean zeal, water was a very good Lorna Puru. Jannet de marichten woorden, jannet de stappen spoedjel en hoeret de mannen naar de kerkel uit tonen open en zielen waren mazen zielen, mazen Fiollaigean zielen waren mazen verisch. Sketter af Fiollaigean spak och Janne karte sjule var hurriga lusten segare hurriga kalles koranen till och var en maser zil och maser Fiollaigean zil och var en maser karrikulorna och tökjalan Arno Lasser och Arno Chommont de Steinichen Kameleska Hennessey's och Marta Fiollaigean sil och var en maser sil och maser Fiollaigean sil och var en maser verkligarna på Sva kutjan kommen var sår och kutje var uesolorem och valjaun makuan falater socket trocknat och Fiollaigean sil och var en maser Fiollaigean sil och var en maser karrikulorna på Sinjel
Lord Seaworth and thou King Eva art Zurma Huyes a Chale Part Ach Brookie and Arnold Yulik and Sail of War and Horses, Sail of Horse of Yulik and Sail of War and Horse of Eric Yorna Pulling.
MURDO, MACLEOD and John Murray of Lewis with a song about the character Fiollaigean, the butterfly, Fiollaigean in Manx. Yin Shira an early van Helsing na an early siwyd o dreil ridden ach ynach cor orm cadla ach na vel mi giri agla gad. Ynach lid an ashle seg a trei toon chit de vei fiet stiach ons na agla nog hon. Noch nim cor eber chit de vei machadla de dugesach. Maar na vel mi, een de verach nim cor oru cor dau taus de chloral. Gaan nod shenjin o adi dau an ungeert, as near cor dau Sabine mai fut na hei. Ren na ni rair schemi, na smoon na beiden manne rau mi gadle chor be. An nale, Jerafauer, J PM. Rair en mi cadle, geren mi dremel. Te jeen der en mi cadle de trom, son gerau mi me goestel Joris Jonathan chit de lai. A genelle Sabine en noerige mi. Son Jew tam mi gennachten fes aglach as gin brie. Gauw mi olju Jane Leibon J cor ber lai. Nevami lai Sabinach. Now J Kneen had some other names here. Donald Corrine Waker, he says, was evidently a professional waker, one who made the arrangements for the waking of a corpse. Mr. Sam Robinson, schoolmaster, was evidently a step higher in the social scale. Now, I presume that's because he's given the honorific Mr. rather than just forename or just surname. As in some of the other examples, though, JJ's list adds to that of Moores, and he gives John Tunman Glover, Richard Kneen Blacksmith, William Kneen Joyner, John Christian Smith, John Hartley Sadler, and John Creer Thatcher. And then we rejoin Moore again. And then JJ adds in again Henry Gorn Fiddler and Ewan Crow Cornet, no doubt entertain the company at weddings and on other festive occasions. Robert Clegg, fiddler, is called elsewhere Fiddler a Charn, the Lord's fiddler, because he played on certain occasions for the Lords of Man. And of course there's a tune called Fiddler a Charn as well. Now Breton singer NOLWENN LEROY sings about love of the land, Karantez Vro.
Ik kon er wel halen zo wil lezen. Bouw even je wonkies heen doorgaan. Haken ze was on in je garen. Naga ik heb garen.
NOLWENN LEROY band and the love of the land of Brittany is in her heart, Karantez. More additions by J Kneen to A.W.'s Moore list are Bob Gael and Ned Gael, blacksmith, John the Mortar, and in brackets he puts the word mason with a question mark, John Barchelier, shepherd, John Cowan, gunner, would be at one of the forts or castles, he says. James Sales, Sumner, was a lesser church dignitary who, besides keeping an eye on the morals of his vicar's folk, served punitive summonses on unruly members and stood at the church door during service to whip stray curs which felt disposed to take part in the proceedings. Now, A.W. Moore has said that Thomas Quiggin Runner was the governor's messenger, but J Kneen describes him rather as the lockman's lackey. Well, we heard mention of somebody commonly called Willie Currycombe and Willie Curry. A.W. Moore said that these two latter had probably to do with horses, and J adds, but the latter, that's Willie Curry, may have farmed Ballacurry. Syniasta vrij Manche Renfield, rauw de fagen me. A dunje bach, vij fibien as renne gui banach yeorm. Ons ach denjach, vij jinneworm de moor. Tammy Kenya chaus tammy smullion ersen. Snort an unit shaw, a signed out vij kerelach jay. Vech Jonathan fi trimshach de bech vissege draumi Kenya. Veshen is na firelia moei der a treidje nerach, as henkedolju stjach aan as utsen ski. Rem mi na va mi able de chor krion dau, as tammy sheen de ren an abe cor foos dus, son je root mi kreeg a ski as vamish. Luggenair rennad cor me the lie, as hyadolju de smoekler a chelium of het grey, ach, for fissem de rouwad geary ginst de chelium a chon na hager verkaag fijn lei. Dat mi fagen vai immerke Jonathan de rauw ridden ach scanchoilegge de instau. Geramiche Sabinach is weg koei. Maar so raas me jachshin, vrij mi jen early sewer de chord au beggen de stoeliers as opium on, je soort jenjach, non rauw mi chade de maaie je nie raas shen. And that was part of Tim Price's suite of music, Gem of God's Earth, part of his musical evocation of Cronk, in fact.
The Nation Station, Manx Radio.
Siodiw stasiwn yn asiwn, radio fanningers yn siod asiw geis siachrys Claare na Gael, mer yn pin, Robert Cytyn Carswell, Robert the Carslach.
Have you heard tell of owl Bobby Bob?
Renne de fi chingel, gerlige lies cadler mahon. Hugge dow is gins down a gineadi dow, a fair by fi fes. Tammy new she say, as tammy furcht an Sabine, vis forst tannacht an vorm. Tammy treis deel na wel me an ynu en ridden jouw jaard. Son chaust of Sabine go tired dat Claare ta al no chit orm. Fuddy, de rou mi bol weinig ons korwarme poer de goeste. Fuddy, de bi fame mer. Sure, Carla. Evi. Cabdil feed, Liorle Jonathan Harker, and Hidle Jerafower fast the beg. Hoor me Thomas Snelling, Satayega ons Fai Bethnal, getrai. Gerawi ons steed de Chorcunion weg. Weg smunion ro lau liun werd jerkich benten den geertem, henke maakt er au shen rauwer day, as wij een oldhoyacht ro woge nieuwderach egge, wij jerkelrish. Ach dinsi mi bij een ben jesje egge, Virgin de vee de anem diach bach, draui een ongoenede de smollet, as een der gomreig van ver gurmach. J Kneen now adds a summing up. All our Manx nicknames are of a very inoffensive type when we compare them with early English nicknames, some of which eventually became surnames, such names as Froy, Freshfish, Bald, Hogsflesh, Drink Ale, Drunkard, Dry Bread, Half Naked, Lose-Wit, Milksop, Pennyfather, Pinchpenny, Twopenny, 2 years old, and rang service are found in Old English records. A nation's ballads, he says, express its feelings and spirit. In a lesser degree, the same can be said of its names. Bonman, he's quoting an authority here, says that these names were not the artificial conception of learned chroniclers, but the natural and unstudied expression of the thoughts and feelings of the common people. The Isle of Man, like many larger countries, is gradually losing its national characteristics, and a country's nicknames are always an essential constituent of these characteristics. This is the song that won the Pan-Celtic Festival International Song Competition last year, the Cornish trio KARRYGI and the song All.
Like a matters you lima, there goes our Pesia, with no and Tesla, Hannigan, Gasly, and Reagan, Alhandra. Craig is a star one, Tau Predeni, Predera, Mesmas you and praise the Trailer and Tablas, Limmerthren, Metier, is Sether. Kelly's and Kevin. My head and your arms was all you that me golden sea. Body head and your body louder the voice I don't see. Leon well the pocketties on redonzi e crystals. Like a flame, Tiangam and go, you made us one as an all. I guess well as both Scocky Dallas. Biz Vic and now commanders to us surprise at Thomas. Kelly Punas, rain and hand salt, where there's your rowings like a rain, Tilly and coast.
And that's Cornish band KARRYGI. Our language has all but disappeared, says J Kneen. Our so-called Anglo-Manx dialect is being thrust aside by the speech of the stranger within our gates. The customs and superstitions beloved by our parents and grandparents are laughed at, and even our centuries-old Tynwald is not regarded with that veneration which has been given to it by our sires. And our nicknames, some serious, some quaint and humorous, but rarely offensive, are sharing the fate of our language. They are no longer wanted or needed, for we have such a wide diversity of surnames, and especially Christian names. It was probably the limited number of the latter which made nicknames so popular. If 12 John Corlets lived in a small community, nicknames were an absolute necessity. But although nicknames belong to another age, we can part with them without regret, for they reflected in such a large degree the pastoral and simple lives of those who have gone before us. Murso dimmen mi gyswalworth, as hwyr mi mansha Joseph Smollett stai as yn cwtiagajay, as oil te the hanmach as scale. Te na wynja daiach achtel, de bachtel sorch mai barantach de avri, as es kjon as is inchin on. Va kunjanega a kledden tacher benten den a kistjagen, as vai lior skriwi yindesach as Cornelen na dulligan village, gaui mach vai poga foliach dach enjach mus toin de trusenegger, as on van trelesen hieroglyph ons pen lai chew, lie rollich, hugge thou king your nane a kistjagen. Doorte der au she saloch kaart gaui vai Carfax, as dege eg unchied kerfeed as shachtjeg, straight chicksand baliano mile end, as she elia hugge stiach eg lone Jamaica Bermondsey. Maar wij eis van Count Dracula macht na kemmerken aglach show a hand through Lunning, van de boel show rights maar na 4 hoshi de wij livreich, de voddige na saan mi Scalia maak at na slee. Now another Irish entry for the Pan-Celtic one year was by Dermot O'Brien, the winning entry in 1980. This is his song Nancy.
Asmuid kele is bear ma val Gael Angrin Galtanyan son is ge kanten door ja me the farsa active through Cecina realta o fargavan via fandi de mur ergeras on hennings de brande en ik klas vari de via sar skali melatsa manatsi Mens me mahul nur de vitur nakelam is kummer lekele Gael amor revnaling de viumar jaal lekele is vos met sanar kon Cecina realta o fargavana via fandi on de lur ergeras Anna hennings verbrande Niklas vari de via saraskahin melatsa manatsi Dermot O'Brien and his song Nancy.
Van 8 o drelach on we sio jint cor orm smullion na rawi fos en Fiollaigean gus jou J lunning. Ve nis sait ons jaar soja a vrou hui, ons jaar a vrou jas, a sa jas. Son shigar is rawi karel figel mui a tui is a hier, Jane hes jowlach egge. Gin chit a valia heen, as eer chrie a lunnen fashionach sa hier jas, a sa hier. Now, J Kneen writes about parting with nicknames without regret, and he says because they reflected the pastoral and simple lives of those who've gone before. Now, I suppose we may be nostalgic with a desire, but an inability to return to a place or situation. That's what nostalgia. It's actually a pain to be home, but you can't be. But that's often because what we long for is actually a sanitised version of the rather more messy reality. As den treer jit my handigel bakkes me reegit nieuw gaach les jerrig les jaw. Now, having mentioned Shanach's Stew in relation to the Cornish band KARRYGI, they were here just before they went to Carlow for the Pan Celtic. Another great friend of Shanach's Stew over the years has been Galician piper ANTON DAVILA, and we close with him playing the gaitas with the band ARAN as they play Xotas galegas. Chris Pearson will be here from 7 to 9 to present 2 hours of the best chill-out music. And at 9 o'clock, Judith Lay will be here to present Sundown. So, Shenane-ish, and so until the next time then, this is Robert Cutting Carswell, Robert a Carslach.
Old Bobby Bob.
Wishing you a very good night. Eve I'm a Crieriu, as Orserlier, as my Yerian shed you will you.